it's probably my earliest performance. I was 3 years old and sang at the National Theater, and I was dressed up like a daisy. I still remember the song I sang. It was, take me where the daisies cover the country lane. We'll make love while the sun shines. We'll make love while it rains. Totally inappropriate song for a little 3-year-old to be singing, but I guess I grew up loving to get up and perform and dance. And with our big family celebrations, the adults were always so busy talking to one another that the only way we could really get their attention was by putting on a little show. And they were just so appreciative when we came back in, and they would applaud, and they would. So I think maybe I got used to applause at a very early age. I must have decided this is really a way to go. My father played the piano when he was, I think, in junior high or high school, played the piano. And just for fun, you know, not in a serious way, but one thing I do remember is when he'd come home from work sometime, my mother might be next door at my aunt's house, or over at my Aunt Jean, there was just a wall between our two houses, and he'd sit down at the piano and he'd do dum da 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 dum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba dum, or dum bum 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 bum. My mother would come running home, you know, to get dinner ready. But I thought that was kind of a nice thing that he would just sit down at the piano, you know, instead of opening the door and hollering for her. And the minute she'd hear that piano, she'd come running home. It was a nice memory. I remember kindergarten as an especially nice time where we got to paint with paints, things that I had never done, and it was such a kind of a visceral experience, just holding that brush up to the paper and having those colors run down and having control over it by, you know, flipping your brush in a way and making it not drip or letting it drip. I mean, I remember loving that, just loving it. First grade, I had notes going home all the time to Mrs. Berman. Marcia disobeyed me today. She threw sand in the sandbox. Or Marcia and Lila had a hanger fight. I moved their seats. There were all these notes. And of course, my mother took this very seriously, and she would punish me at home for stuff that was happening in school. So those were some rough days until I guess they got me to, you know, shape up in how they wanted me to be. I was not very happy about that. When I had a birthday, I think it was my 5th or 6th birthday, my mother and father invited the whole school to come to the Wabash movie theater, which was walking distance away from our school, and see cartoons. And I still have the letters that the 6th graders wrote thanking us what they liked best, and just the thank you notes. It was really, really a nice thing for them to do. I think throughout my school years, I was somewhat embarrassed by that because it was calling so much attention to me, and that my parents owned the movie theaters. And I think that was difficult for me growing up. I joined the Hashomer Hatzair. I must have been about 11 years old in Boyle Heights, and we did a lot of singing. And that's probably my first introduction to folk music and political songs and Hebrew songs and some Yiddish songs. And so that was a wonderful experience. I mean, I just loved it. It was very much a political group, a left-wing political group. We had an African-American woman who was cooking the food, I remember, at one of our camps, and she wasn't permitted to swim in Lake Gregory because they must have at that time had some kind of a law that said black people couldn't swim there. So we picketed the lake, and that whole, I don't remember how long we were up there at camp, but none of us went swimming. That was the end of swimming, but we were proud to do it. You know, we felt like we had to do that. It was a wonderful lesson that unfair situations exist. And then I went on to Fairfax High School, and while I was in Fairfax High, I joined a girls' club probably patterned after a sorority. It was great fun. I really liked it. We called ourselves the Zeffs, and we had sweaters, blue sweaters with Zeffs written on it, and it was a nice experience of belonging. My mother's mother always complimented me on my voice. I mean, she would call me her little nightingale, and she would make a big deal about it. And she had, I know she used to talk about going to the opera in Europe, in Vienna, I think. So I guess the fact that I could sing and carry a tune was really valued by her, and she did make a big deal about it. So I always felt like I could sing. I always had confidence that I could do it, and I guess I did it a lot.